Welcome to the latest episode of the VM Campus Comic Book Club. I've got an interesting comic to show off here, an artifact of a bygone time. This is when cute met sexy. And we'll see if they actually fit together, or was it a mistake? Let's find out. So I've got Witchblade, animated #1, published in 2003 by Image Comics. The cover features Witchblade, Magdalena, and the darkness, being besieged by some extremely cute demons. I can't take any of these seriously, they're way too cute. Everyone's cute on the cover. And why is that? Well, the creative team is Paul Dini, David Bullock, Darwyn Cooke, Jay Bone, and Lee Loffridge. With that pedigree, it must be cute. But it's an early 2000s comic, so it also must be sexy. We'll see how well that worked out. Art by the BBC. I'd never heard them described that way, but Bone, Bullock, and Cooke apparently were the BBC at one point. Then they were colored by Loffridge and then lettered by various people here. And this was published back in 2003. And I'm going to focus on the art in this book. I'm sure there's an amazing story that I'll read one day. But just visually, right away, we see this Darwyn Cooke style, even though it was two other people that also did the art, but it's like heavily Darwyn Cooke style, right? It's also Paul Dini style. This Batman the Animated Series style brought over to these characters, these Image characters that debuted in the late 90s. And here at the turn of the millennium, they're cashing in on the animated series style, the Batman the Animated Series style, which began in the early 90s. Paul Dini worked on that. And here he lends his powers to a story with a bunch of demons and religious overtones and magic and powers and stuff. A lot of bare midriffs as well, and booty shots whenever possible, as long as they advance the plot, of course. And what is the plot? Well, pause it and read it on your own, because it's got demons, it's got religion, it's got history, it's got kindly old cardinals, and warrior nuns. So as we browse this, it's a pretty fun, rollicking, fast-paced adventure, right? We've got car chases and battling demons and epic encounters like that, all in this cute style that I am a big fan of. The BBC did a very good job. Oh no, betrayal. The BBC did a very good job of staying on model, although, like I said, it really leans more towards Darwyn Cooke style. But they created this style and they really followed throughout all of these various pages. And each of the characters is rendered in that style very well. It's a simplified cartoony style, but still detailed. We have Witchblade kicking butt and being very cheeky about it. We've got the Magdalena with her big old weapon. It all gets wrapped up in one issue full of adventure and quips and cuteness and sexiness, and then we wrap it up the end. And I appreciate that when a comic is one and done instead of stretching it out over several pages, several months of stuff, that it can all be done in one comic, and you're good to go. Now we'll browse it one more time, this time with a focus on the ads, which is a great time capsule of the time. For example, Wizard World, Chicago 2003. What were you doing in 2003? Were you playing games such as Ark the Lad on your PlayStation 2? I remember the name of that game, but I never played it. I was more of a Nintendo boy, so I wouldn't even touch that dirty PlayStation. But if you ever played Ark the Lad, tell me all about it in the comments. Another PS2 game being advertised here. Hunter, The Reckoning, Wayward. Don't believe I've heard about that. And as soon as I saw the ad, it felt like it was a Resident Evil ad. But it was, I guess, Hunter, The Reckoning, Wayward. You don't have to wait for death. It waits for you. That's some pretty epic text. And I found this interesting down here on the rating. Okay, it's M for mature because of blood and gore and violence, but also strong lyrics. I didn't know that lyrics were also rated, I guess, in games back in the day, but this one had strong lyric warning. If you weren't into video games, how about Hero Clicks? This is another one of these that I remember from back in the day, but I never played it. It's the collectible miniatures game. Is this still around? There was also that Disney one that you had your characters and they were totally high-tech and you connected them to the game and they played stuff. Well, this was version 1.0 of that. And I kind of remember there were a bunch of them. I started with Marvel, but I guess they also did a bunch of these independent characters. Judge Dredd, She, Hellboy, and more. Is that Witchblade comics? Of course we had a Witchblade clicky. What were they called? The Hero Clixies? Tell me in the comments. More Witchblade stuff over here is Medieval Witchblade, one of these busts. Now, these have been around, and nowadays more people have statues and so forth. But back in the day, 2003, how many of these were really sold? I really wonder. Comics were still a niche thing, and we hadn't had the whole explosion of superhero movies yet. So I really wonder how many of these were really sold. This is $39.99. It looks realistic. It's got good detail. It's 6 inches tall, which is not that big compared to the really impressive ones nowadays that are almost like a 1-to-1 scale. This is 6 inches tall. If I don't get lazy, I'll put up on screen here if I found this on eBay and see what it's going for nowadays. There's a double page spread here about Top Cow trade paperbacks. So if you want to catch up on the stories of The Darkness, Magdalena, Witchblade, Medieval Spawn and Witchblade, and Battle of the Planets. Yep, back then Dynamic Forces was involved in that. Moving on to this ad over here. This one's pretty fun. Animated personality, Paul Dini, Witchblade animated writer and Trouble Magnet. Latest cow sightings during the convention circuit. I got some cute art over here, art by J Bone. Final pages. Top Cow Productions presents Cursed. Written by Fiona Avery and Tippy Blevins. Penciled by Romano Molinar. Inked by Kevin Conrad. Colored by Brian Bucceletto. Cover by Chris Bachalo. Amazing. I love his work. So, I don't remember anything about this series. It definitely feels like Neil Gaiman's Death character, but this is Top Cow's legally distinct version. Or I might be totally off. In any event, what lies beyond the doors of death? Special behind-the-scenes interview with Fiona Avery and Tippy Blevins on the next page. On the next page, oh yeah, right here. So pause that, read it on your own if you can, because this was the era of graphic design where we hadn't figured out that text is most legible when it's not on an illegible background. And so this might be a bit hard to read. This is pretty cool. We got an interview with the creators of this comic. Again, I don't know too much about Curse. Tell me in the comments if you do, but I like that style. 21st century goth. And then on the last page is the Top Cow World Moose. Get it? Moose? News? Pause it, read it here on your own, but this is really cool to, again, get a glimpse of what things were like in 2003 in the world of comics. Mark Miller, J.G. Jones, Scott Tucker, et al. Besides this comic, what else was being published at the time was Tomb Raider number 32, Witchblade number 67, The Darkness, Wanted Dead, and The Magdalena number 1. A new number 1. Check out my previous video on my review of The Magdalena. And don't forget to subscribe for future reviews of Witchblade and the like. Back cover, Babylon 5, the beloved Babylon 5 series. I have to admit, I'm more of a Star Trek Deep Space Nine character. Can't we all just get along and love our numerically named space stations? And can't we all love when cute met sexy with Witchblade animated number 1? Tell me what you thought about this book. Was it too cute and not sexy enough? Was the combination good or not so good? Was this actually a real series that was out at some point? I forgot to do a little bit more research. I kind of went into this review blind today, but was there an actual Witchblade animated series that ran at some point? Or was this sort of like the proof of concept? If you know the info, tell me in the comments. Paul Dini, give me the scoop. But in the meantime, this has been the latest episode of the weekly VM Campus Comic Book Club. I'll see you next time.